Hi everyone, my name is Courtney Grimm and I am one of the instructors for session 3 for Kines 321, and one of your assignments is to interview a PE teacher. And we are in strange times right now. We don't know when the schools are going to reopen, so some of you may not have access to a teacher for the assignment. So to try and help you out, I have the questions here in front of me. I'm going to work through all of them and answer them for you so that you at least have an interview to use for your assignment if you need it. And if not, and you have access to a teacher, then that's great too. So here we go. Question number 1 is, how long have you been teaching PE? This is my 7th year of service, straight out of college and my credential program. I got a job teaching high school PE in Salinas at one of their schools there. And then we moved and I got a new job teaching PE at a high school in Gilroy. I was there for 3 years. The first 2 years I taught PE, and then my third year I took the role of athletic director for the school. And then got pregnant and we had our 2 sons, so I took 2 years off for that and we moved again, and now we are in Fresno. And so let's see, that's 4 years. So my 5th, 6th, and 7th year of teaching have all been in Madera Unified as one of their elementary PE specialists. So I've had multiple sites that I've worked at, but now I am doing primary, so I have 1st through 3rd graders. Question number 2 is, how or why did you decide to teach PE? My undergrad program was a kinesiology degree, and I actually had a concentration in exercise science. I initially wanted to get into athletic training. Really interested me, but I also knew that I wanted to have a family one day, and the hours for that are not family friendly at all, unfortunately. So teaching had always kind of been the other thing that I thought that I would want to do. I played sports all my life, loved just being active, and I loved my kinesiology program and all of the health courses and the exercise science classes that I took. And so teaching PE was kind of the next step for me to get into. So I stayed at my university for 1 more year and did a single subject credential program and got my PE credential. So question number 3 says, what are some issues that have changed PE instruction over the past few years? And that's a little bit tricky for me to answer because I feel like it hasn't changed a whole lot since I started. So if you included the years that I took off, it's almost been 10 years. When I was in my credential program, it was right when Common Core standards were coming out, and nobody kind of really knew what that meant or what that was going to look like for PE. I would say overarching big picture, though, if you go back further than from when I've started, it has become very instruction based, more organized, standards based. You know, you see the movies where PE teachers always get a bad rap. You know, throw out the ball. Here you go. I'm going to sit in my lawn chair and read the newspaper. Old school, you know, or just go run a lap, run a mile. This is what we're doing today while the teacher sits there. And I think we get a lot more teachers now who actually want to teach and aren't just there because they're coaches and they need a job. It does happen, but I would say that it's actually very much improved since then. More accountability, I guess, is part of it, you know, and really trying to hold our students accountable also, that they actually are learning while they're in class. Some of the fitness testing has changed in the past few years. The standards for that, they've changed from one way to a new way and then back to the old way, and kind of have reevaluated how they're measuring those. But I'd say for the most part, in the last 10 years or so, it's stayed pretty much the same for the most part, and for the good. It's been good, it's been improved. Teachers are held accountable, we're holding the students accountable, and we're having standards-based instruction. Question 4, what would you like to see changed in physical education instruction or curriculum? This is totally my opinion, and I've taught elementary, I haven't taught middle school, and I've taught high school, and I think it's all about finding a balance. We do an okay job at it, but when it's time to be evaluated as a teacher, or when you're a new teacher, we focus very much on standards and our objectives and what are we accomplishing, which is great and fantastic, and we have skills that we want our students to learn. But I would like to see, personally, a shift more into practical things and making our students lifelong learners and giving them skills and putting strategies in their hands, putting activities in their hands that they could take home to use on their own to be healthy in their own lives. For our little ones, giving them games or activities to do to take home to do with siblings or parents to help them stay active. In high school, instead of just, focusing on our units and being skills-based, doing some more innovative units or games and things that they could take past high school, because now they're going to have to be making healthy decisions for themselves the rest of their lives. So what are some things that we can help you discover that you actually enjoy, that you would be willing to do on your own? Also things that don't require a lot of money or equipment that you might be able to do, because sometimes that's the case of what's doable or affordable for some people. But just giving people practical skills to be active in their own lives and to make healthy choices, and kind of shifting the weight off of teaching skills, which is still important. We have basic and foundational skills we want our students to learn, but it's great if you know how to throw a ball to a target, but if you're just standing there throwing a ball, you're not working on your cardiovascular fitness. You've got to have somebody who's willing to play with you, and just different aspects of it. Swimming is something that not everybody teaches. I was scared to death to teach swimming, and ended up being one of my favorite units when I taught high school. But those are really functional, practical skills that we're putting in the hands of people to use in everyday life when they are no longer with us and they have to make their own choices. Question 5, did you major in kinesiology and have a PE credential? And then what knowledge did you have to gain to teach physical education? So I partially answered this already. Yes, I did have an undergrad degree in kinesiology, and then I did a single subject credential program for my PE credential. I will say that most of my knowledge and learning actually happened in my undergrad, in my kines program. The credential program is, when you're single subject, it is not very tailored to your subject. It's very much, these are the standard classes for their credential, and I think maybe I had one class that was specific to PE, but I didn't learn anything near as much as I did in my undergrad program. And actually, I would say that maybe my biggest learning of how to be a PE teacher happened when I did my student teaching. It's a great experience. It's really intimidating to go in and to have to take over somebody's classroom, and they're watching you the whole time, even though they're there to help you. I had 2 really great experiences with my master teachers, and I was at a middle school for one and a high school for the other, so very different. I was down in Southern California for that. Just learned so much, and again, those are the practical things that you're learning. Classroom management is probably the hugest, because it's great if you can teach skills, but if you have no classroom management, it's not going to matter what you know how to teach as far as the subject goes. And so student teaching I learned a lot. And then I got a job, and my first year of teaching, it was kind of the same thing over again. I was at a new school with new people, and all of my coworkers in my department were all across the board. I mean, every different kind of personality and teaching style. And that first year is where I really developed kind of my philosophy for how I wanted to run my classes, because I was seeing a wide range of teaching styles, and I saw how it impacted the kids also and how well it was received. And so learning from your peers is another big one. But student teaching, learned a ton. My undergrad was awesome, although not all of it applies to teaching PE. The exercise science stuff is great, and it's helpful to have that foundational knowledge, but it's not practical everyday knowledge. If you are wanting to teach PE and you're in this program and you're a liberal studies major, that's totally fine, because you can choose your credential program and you can go multiple subject, or you can go single subject. And the great thing about the PE credential is it is a K through 12 credential. So you can do all grade levels with it, which gives you a lot of options. And so I would say don't worry if you do want to teach PE and you're in this program. It's totally fine. I would just get connected with somebody that could be like a mentor role for you until you get into your credential program or through your credential program. Go and observe people, view people's classroom management styles, view different grade levels. Even though you're not getting the full KNES background through your undergrad, those are actually the practical things that you're going to use the most. So don't be discouraged if you're in this program and you want to teach PE. There are still lots of great learning opportunities for you. Question 6. How much time is allotted per week for PE instruction in your school? So you're going to get a variety of answers depending on who you talk to for this. In my district in Madera, it's different for 1st through 3rd, and then 4th through 6th has a different number, and then middle and high school is different also. So in our district, our middle school and our high school students are fully serviced. They're getting the required minutes that the state says they need to have. And then our 4th through 6th students are also getting their required minutes. So it is 100 minutes a week. So they're getting 2 50-minute sessions each week, and that's meeting their required minutes. 1st through 3rd, we are not fully meeting the requirement through our PE specialists. So I service my 1st through 3rd graders. Every class gets 50 minutes a week, which is half of the requirement, which means the other 50 minutes is supposed to be covered by the classroom teacher, which many of you, that will be you, who are not actually going into PE. And so the teachers actually have to sign off a form saying that they are covering the other required 50 minutes. So if the state audits it, we're showing that we are fully covering the minutes, even though they're not all coming from me as the PE specialist. And every district is different. Our district is very fortunate to have PE specialists for the elementary students. Some of the bigger districts in the valley here don't have them at all, and the classroom teachers are supposed to be covering all the minutes. Other districts have kind of like a floater that comes in and out and maybe sees the kids once a week for like half an hour, or it's not super consistent. So my district is very fortunate that our teachers get that, and we do pretty well at covering them. So 100 minutes a week, I service half of them, which is 50 for my 1st through 3rd graders, and then everybody else is fully covered. Question 7, what is the main goal for PE in your school? I'm actually going to answer this a little bit different and kind of answer it for my district, because each of our schools has 2 PE specialists. The ones that teach primary are moving specialists, so they usually have multiple sites. And then the ones who do the older kids stay there. They have enough sections to fill up their schedule with the older kids. So we get together every week as a full department. I think there are like 24 of us who teach elementary PE. And so I would say our goals combined, because we do very much almost everything together, except everybody goes to their sites and does it how they want to. But our goals are very much the same. We want our kids to be active. We want to be keeping them moving. We don't want to have a lot of downtime. We want to teach them how to make healthy choices. We want to give them tools that they could go and be active on their own outside of our class. You know, we're trying to hit our content standards also, of course. Trying to look at whole child also. We have some nutrition curriculum that we do with them, so healthy eating choices also, and yeah, focusing on the student as a whole and trying to keep them healthy, trying to keep them moving and active, and teaching them how to make good choices. Question number 8. What is one of the biggest challenges to teaching PE? And that is a good one because it changes daily. For me right now, in the job that I've been doing, teaching elementary, one of my biggest challenges is that we don't have any indoor facilities. We're at elementary schools. A lot of people are traveling between sites. There are no gyms. There are no multi-purpose rooms or buildings for us to use. So we're literally outside all day, every day, which some parts of the year is fabulous and other parts of the year is really hard. You know, we get the 100 plus degrees when school starts and at the end of the school year, and then like January, February, we get really cold weather. You know, if it's raining, if it's windy, we're out there, and that's what we have to work with. You know, we try to stay out of the classrooms as much as we can. That's always the backup. You know, if it's raining, then we go inside the classroom teacher's room with them and try to fill our minutes inside. But it's really hard. I will say that's something I didn't take advantage of or didn't really see as an advantage when I was teaching at the high school level, was having the gym. But how nice it is to have those indoor facilities. Just have walls around you. You know, it makes it easier to have boundaries for the activities that you're doing. The kids are a lot more focused. At least in elementary school, you know, every time a plane flies over the school or a really loud car drives by, you know, or the sprinklers are running, or they just watered the grass, or there's a million different things going on that you have to work around. And that's really hard to be flexible around those and to be out there in the elements all day long. Hard for me, personal. Some people, it's not as big a deal, but it's definitely the challenge for me. Kind of an overarching challenge, I would say, is actually grading in PE is something that I've been really challenged on, and trying to find the philosophy that I want to have for that. I don't grade my students right now. When I was at the high school level, I did. And so figuring out how you're going to measure and what your standards are for how you're grading them. You know, if we're grading based on improvement, that's great for the student who came in not doing well, but that's really not fair for our very athletic students who were already doing well and don't have much room to improve. You know, if you're grading based on whether or not they can do a skill, you know, then it's flip-flopped, that's great grading for our athletic students and not good for the students who are struggling. And, you know, those are the ones that we're trying to reach, and we're trying to keep active and put things in their hands to help them enjoy being active. So finding your philosophy of grading and figuring out how you're going to do that is definitely just kind of an overarching challenge, you know. And you figure it out as you go. You try something one year and it works or it doesn't, and you adjust it the next. Or sometimes you go into a department that already has a set kind of grading style and you just do the best that you can with it. But yeah, finding a balance on how you're going to do your grading and making it fair to all the students, but still measuring what they are learning. Question 9, how do you advocate for a physical education profession and try to change negative perceptions of being a physical education teacher? Which I joked about earlier, right? All the movies that you see, I'm sure you could just name off a ton where total misconception or bad perception of PE teacher. And unfortunately, some of them are true because people had teachers just like them. But like I said, I think times have changed and we are doing better for the most part. But I would say you are your biggest advocate for your profession. Hands down. You're setting the example, and what people are watching you do totally affects their perception of the whole PE profession. So all of the teachers that you're interacting with at your site and administrators and parents and everybody involved, you're your biggest advocate. So, as good of a job as you do, that builds up more respect for the profession, because I'm sure everybody could think of a PE teacher that they've either had or seen or watched or experienced that was a terrible representation of the profession. Everybody's going to have one of those. But if everybody could also have just at least one positive, amazing example, then that totally changes things. Builds up a lot more respect. You are absolutely your biggest advocate. And so taking it seriously, doing a good job, being professional, that's the best way to influence people and to kind of change any negative perceptions that they may have had. Kind of just like teaching in general, we want our students to have a love of learning, and we want our PE teachers want our students to have a love of learning how to be active and healthy. And so giving them tools, but also making it fun. Like, it's okay to say that, of making it fun and where they want to come back, or they want to do something again, or they want to try it at home. Those are the best things that you can do for your profession to kind of break the mold of any bad perceptions that people have. Question 10, what are 3 of your PE units and how long is each unit? Again, mine's going to be different because I'm elementary school, 1st through 3rd graders. So let's see. One of the ones I like to do at the beginning of the year is cooperative games, which involves also a lot of tag games, but teaching just basic teamwork skills. And we're going to have to be in the same space as each other, and how to follow the rules, how we need to act. And actually, a lot of those games that I do in that are my foundational things. So if I'm ever gone and there's a sub, those are the foundational things I go back to. The students already know how to do, know how to run the game, and can do it without much help from a sub who may not be sure. And it's a great way to just get them involved and having fun at the beginning of the year, and kind of increase your buy-in as you're starting the school year. And again, I only see my kids once a week for 50 minutes, so my units are usually at least a month. Again, if you have somebody who's with older kids, like high school, you're seeing them every single day for an hour, your unit length is going to change. So one of my units is cooperative games. I also do just a basic throwing and catching unit. Very simple foundational skills that they can take with them as they move forward. And what's another one that I like to do? For the 1st graders, when they first start the year, I kind of do a personal space and locomotor skills mini unit that's fairly short. But again, teaching them what personal space means. We do a lot of just following simple commands, stop and go, find this, go there, move here, wait until I say go, following instructions. And then locomotor skills, so just the very basic skills: walk, skip, jog, hop, jump, gallop. And mixing that in with being able to follow cues or rules of a game or things like that. So that's just not even really too much skill based, but it's just very foundational. How do we act in PE? Here are some things we need to know how to do before we can get to any of the fun games that involve equipment. Question 11, how are students graded or given credit for PE? I should have been paying more attention earlier when I kind of answered this. So it's going to vary depending on where you're at. Again, first through third grade in my district does not get a grade for PE. It goes on their report card for fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. But everybody's grading system kind of just varies. A lot of time based on your personal philosophy, like I had said earlier. If you step into a secondary school, middle school, or high school, they're probably going to have an established point system that they like to use so that everybody's using the same type of grading schedule. A lot of it is heavy participation based, which is fine, but you have to find a way to separate that from being absent, because they can't get a bad grade just because they were absent. So you have to find a way to make it participation based on what you're doing each day. Some people include fitness testing as part of their grading, which I personally don't. I don't agree with that for lots of reasons. So some people use that. I used actual written assignments and tests when I was at the high school level as part of my grading. Citizenship is usually somehow mixed into that, somehow as part of the grade. But yeah, it kind of a lot of times just depends on your philosophy, or if your department or your district has something set in place. But usually it's very much heavily participation based. Question 12, what do you consider to be the best thing about teaching PE? That's a hard one because there are a lot of positives. I would say some of my best memories or thoughts that I have about PE is that I get to interact with all students of all levels, every class. I'm seeing everybody. I'm not just teaching athletes. Some of my favorite students are the ones who have zero athletic skills and are coming out and are just learning how to move or how to enjoy being active. I had some high school students that just hated being in PE, and you could tell from day one they were not happy to be there. So I really loved taking that as a challenge and getting to build relationships with them and getting some buy-in. But it's definitely very much relationship based, and it's cool because you get to see everybody and you get to work with some really awesome students, really difficult students, and a lot of students that are right in the middle of the road. But yeah, it's very unique because you're not just having a set 30 students that you're with all day, every day, which is also nice. That has its positives too, because you're building a really special relationship the whole year long. But it is very fun to get to interact with, hundreds of students every year and, impact their life somehow. You may not have a relationship with them, but you never know if something that you said hits them and they remember it and you're like, I had no idea that I said that. So the relationships part is very cool, and getting to interact with all kinds of students. Question 13, last one. What would be some advice that you would give someone who is thinking of becoming a PE teacher? That's a hard one. I would say definitely go out and observe and take a look at what the day-to-day looks like. There are a lot of people who, again, don't really have that full respect for the profession. And, I get comments all the time, oh, I wish I could just show up to work every day in sweats, and I really just want to say back, I will trade you my sweats for your jeans if I could have a classroom and not have to be out here when it's 30 degrees or when it's 100 degrees. Like, there's a trade-off. Every single job has its positives and negatives. but just to make sure you have a good idea of what the day-to-day looks like, because it can have a really bad perception from some of the movies we see. It could be really glamorized from other things that we see where it's like, oh, you don't have to do any work, and you're still getting paid the same as everybody else on the same salary scale. So I would say just to get out and observe lots of different levels and lots of different teachers and get a feel for what the day-to-day parts look like, because those are the most grinding, and if you don't have a very good idea of them to start with, those are the things that'll get you frustrated right away and then, second guessing your decision. So if you get out there and check it out and watch people and learn and get a good feel for all the different things that go into it, classroom management and all of that, and then you still think that you want to do it and that you have the heart for it, then absolutely. But yeah, check it out. Go observe people, all different grade levels, and you'll see. And you'll see what you like and what you don't like. Maybe you love it. Maybe you're like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. But that's probably the best advice that I have. If you are thinking about it, you're not sure, and you want to find out, get out there and observe some people. So if you watch this interview, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully I answered the questions well enough for you to get your paper written up. If you have any follow-up questions, you should be able to get my email, courtney.graham@fresno.edu, if there's anything else that you want to ask to be able to put in your paper. But yeah, thank you. It's a really great profession to be in, and hopefully this helps you out and gives you a little more perspective into the mind of a PE teacher. Okay, thanks. Bye.